this indictment of Donald Trump. And there really is no question that the political parties will somehow find a way to use this indictment of the former president in their respective campaigns. Democrats want to amplify it for obvious reasons. Donald Trump's campaign is using it to amplify the message of political weaponization of the justice system in this country against him. So this mugshot, Kevin, if it comes out, which it might not, but if the mugshot comes out, Donald Trump plans to use it, with mugshot merchandise. Democrats would also probably use it for their purposes as well, both believing that it helps their respective parties and their respective campaigns.
If it comes out. Come on. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? I think Alvin Bragg has pretty much just assured a full year of Donald Trump headlines. The media will be obsessed, absolutely, with Donald Trump's mugshot. It'll be shown millions of times around the world. But my bet is that it will help Donald Trump raise millions and millions of dollars and make sure that his base is solid and possibly bring forward new supporters. I think it all but guarantees that Donald Trump will be the candidate for the Republican Party. And if so, this is what I really wonder, Tom. Will the never Trump Republicans support him, or will they step aside and just let Democrats roll in 2024? Let's bring in John Sellek, CEO of Harvard Strategic Public Relations. Good morning, John. How are you?
Hey, Kevin. Good morning.
Good morning. How is going to be quite a week? How do you think this is going to play out? Obviously, Donald Trump's going to be in town in New York today. He'll be in court tomorrow. He'll be processed. Is this going to be a fundraising opportunity?
Oh, yeah, and it already has been. Look, there's so much about this we don't know because they've chosen to keep this information sealed, which strikes me as a little odd, but we'll probably get there sooner than later. And it's not just that we don't know a lot about what's going on here. I think the public has shown in multiple polls over the weekend from Quinnipiac and ABC that they don't really know either. In all these polls, at least 25%, so like a quarter of the population really doesn't know whether he should be charged because they don't know what it is. In the past, when they've asked voters about these issues and whether somebody making a payment to affect elections should matter, it rises up into the 70%, yeah, they should be charged. But as soon as they then said, well, what if it's about Donald Trump, it drops down into the 20s. So there's a lot of room for Trump to maneuver here with voters who may not necessarily even love him, but are leaving open the door for this idea that this is mostly politics. And in the Quinnipiac poll, among questioned voters, amongst independents, 70% said this was mostly about politics. So we're going to see a lot of PR onslaught by Donald Trump. He's going to get to sort of take over all the media oxygen once again and make his case. And because these poll numbers show there's a lot of people out there who see it either as political or don't know if he should be charged yet, there's a lot of room for him to kind of diminish this whole thing. And by the end, if he's able to come out of it with a couple of misdemeanors or he has to pay some fines, it'll almost look like an administrative issue instead of a criminal issue is my guess.
Yeah, CNN just popped up a poll. It's on the front page of their website. I haven't had a chance to really dig into it yet, but it claims that 60% of Americans approve the indictment. It says independents, 60% approve of it, 38% disapprove. Democrats, 94% approve, including 71% who strongly approve. Republicans, 79% disapprove, with 54% strongly disapproving. I bet what a majority of people would disapprove of is the idea of this indictment being sealed and the idea of a judge issuing a gag order. I would feel like the American people would want this to be as open and transparent as possible so that people can make a decision for themselves if they think that Donald Trump deserved to be charged or if they think this is a political prosecution.
Yeah, look, I've worked for 2 attorneys general. That means I've worked with hundreds of prosecutors who, by and large, the vast majority are doing their work behind the scenes. They're sworn to legal oaths. They have a mission in mind for justice, and they don't bring cases unless they think they have the evidence to win the case in court. We've seen that over and over again. So they are taking this seriously. I think, therefore, Donald Trump has to take this seriously because he certainly could still be convicted of something here. I mean, we talk about the politics and how that affects him in a different light. But first and foremost, he has to work on the legal part, even though what we're all going to be talking about is the public relations and political part. there's going to be just a ton of pressure on the Manhattan district attorney here. It's not quite an apples to apples comparison, but to get a feel for that, this isn't the federal government that's doing this prosecution in this case. This is basically like a county prosecutor. This would be like if Kim Worthy decided that she was going to file charges against Donald Trump and impact the election based on a justice issue. And we'd all kind of scratch our head like, what? Why is this county prosecutor doing this? It's not quite apples to apples simply because it's New York City, it's Manhattan, it's the center of power and wealth in America, at least, if not the world. But nonetheless, this new prosecutor who's only been in office for a year suddenly has more attention on him because of what he's doing and more pressure than he's ever seen and probably that he'll ever see again.
Yeah, I think it's a good comparison because he's essentially trying to tie this as a Manhattan DA to a federal election law. And that's eventually what he's going to try to prove, that Trump violated a federal law, which is really out of his jurisdiction. Do you think, as a result of that and maybe some other things too, that there is a possibility this case is going to be thrown out? And if it does, what does that do for the race ahead for Democrats and Republicans?
Well, it goes back to my first point that we really don't know what's in this thing. And I think that's doing a disservice, actually, to the prosecution, at least early on. But what we know, both from covering these kind of things in the media and what we know from all the leaks coming out is prosecutors put the information that they want to come out in those initial documents once they're released. So perhaps later today we're going to start to see some of these details, and they're usually going to put their best stuff out front. So we're going to find out pretty fast how significant or real this is. One thing that's interesting to note is that when this prosecutor came into office about a year ago, that office had already been investigating Trump under Cyrus Vance, the former prosecutor there, and they were ready to go. And the new prosecutor came in and said, I don't think this case is very strong. I'm not going to charge it right now. And the two prosecutors in the office who had been working on it resigned in protest. So this prosecutor is actually taking heat from both sides because first he said, no, I'm not doing this. And then over time, is it just because he did his own investigation or because he was under a lot of pressure? I don't know. None of us know. Then he came back and is doing it. So that's kind of an interesting angle. But Donald Trump, what it's doing for him, at least in the meantime, is when he sees these polls where 70% of independents say it's mainly politics and that around 25% of Republicans and independents even still don't know. They don't know enough to know if this is the right thing to do. That means there's a lot of room for him to maneuver to diminish whatever the outcome of this is. And so we're going to see him dominating the political airwaves. He's put all the Republicans, essentially except for Asa Hutchinson in Arkansas, on the defense, having to sort of defend him. Even Peter Meyer is out there blasting the prosecution of Donald Trump. So it shows you in our current politics, the kind of leg up, even if it seems a little bit perverse on the surface,
sure,
it can give to Trump.
Yeah, quite a few Never Trumpers are coming out defending him in this particular instance, for sure. Hey, appreciate your perspective on this as always. John Sellek, CEO of Harbor Strategic Public Relations. John, good to talk with you. Thank you.
You too. Bye-bye.
Hey, your calls are coming up next. It's 800-859-0955.